I said back around Bound for Glory that this was TNA's last chance, in my opinion, uh, to start to get things right. This was their last chance to really salvage what TNA could be. This was their last chance to keep me watching the product. And at Bound for Glory, I felt they did just enough to do just that. Most importantly to me, anyways, keep me watching the product. But I do have to admit, after watching this week's Impact, I am a little more heartened about the fact that there might be a new direction for the company from a creative standpoint. I liked a number of things about this week's show, and I hope I get more of the same going forward. Not a perfect show, nowhere near a perfect show, but enough again to get me a little more excited about the product and a little more interested in TNA as a company right now. TNA apparently decided to take one of Hogan's great ideas, which was to have people be filmed 24/7, all this other crap. They're doing this hashtag Impact 365 garbage on YouTube, whatever. Some of the videos I've watched have been good, and some of them have been very bad, and they seem to primarily revolve around Dixie Carter. Ugh. Anywho. So, you got that tease from Dixie Carter that a former world champion was going to come back to Impact this week. And a lot of people were trying to imply it's this name or that name. And up all of your asses that tried to inbox me or message me or tell me that it was going to be the King of the Mountain, the founder, Jeff fucking Jarrett. Well, up yours. Ain't assuming no position anytime soon, damn it. Because instead, Dixie laid this golden nugget. We're going to be in Cincinnati for Impact. Why not bring back former TNA World Tag Team Champion Adam Pac-Man Jones? Oh, baby. I know this got a lot of people pissed off, but they did bring up a valid point. Dixie did. Was that Pac-Man has been one of the best things that ever happened to that company from a publicity standpoint. There's no question about it. Historically, throughout the company's 11 years. One of the most covered times in TNA's history from any type of mainstream standpoint was when Pac-Man Jones was involved with the company and was a TNA World Tag Team Champion, even though he never really got in the ring and wrestled. Anywho, so, I was wondering what they were going to do with Pac-Man. I was wondering if they were going to try and cram him down our throats and make him seem like some big-time shot deal. And no, they didn't. He was just a bit part. He got in a little bit of a segment in camera time with Bad Influence, who confronted him outside of the ring at the beginning of the show. And then Pac-Man Jones and his teammate Daquan Evans, they come into the ring, they body slam Bad Influence, and that's it. Then that's fine. That's perfect. You give the hometown Cincinnati crowd something to cheer about. Bad Influence takes a body slam. Whoop-de-doo. You gave it back to him when you had him beat Joseph Park and Eric Young in a solid tag match later on in the show. What this shows you is that Bad Influence is so good right now as a team and a unit. And they're over enough with the TNA audience that you could have them do something stupid like this with two Cincinnati Bengals, take a body slam, bring them back on later in the show, have them win a tag match, and the crowd's none the worse for it. They love it. And they're still behind these guys, even though they're technically supposed to be heels. So they didn't try to cram Pac-Man down our throats too much. They did acknowledge him, had him be there a little bit, gave the hometown crowd there in Cincinnati something to get behind and cheer about. But then they got back to the business at hand with Bad Influence. And again, it's a testament to how good and how over Bad Influence is with the TNA audience that you can have them go out there, get body slammed by two NFL players, and it doesn't hurt them one iota. We actually got a really good triple threat number one contenders knockout match. My only disappointment, frankly, was that there wasn't a clear, decisive finish with ODB and Brooke and Velvet Sky. I actually thought these three ladies went out there and had a solid match. I'll give them that. They had a solid match. I thought it was okay. I thought it was kind of awkward the way Gail Kim and Lady Tapa were kind of standing on the ring apron at one point, I'm still disappointed that they aligned Lady Tapa with Gail Kim instead of having Lady Tapa go after ODB or somebody else in the Knockouts division because, again, we need somebody new, anybody fresh in the Knockouts division. Gail Kim saying that she's basically issuing an open challenge. I'm not reading the spoilers for next week, so please don't post down below what's going to happen. All I hope is that it's some type of new fresh face that we really haven't seen much on Impact for a knockout. Whether or not she wins the belt, I can frankly care less about. Just having somebody new in the Knockouts division would be a very welcome sight for my eyes. I'm sure most everybody loved the whole deal between Robert Roode and Kurt Angle that played out really throughout the course of the entire show. You got Angle calling Roode out, Roode calling Angle out, Angle calling Roode out. They're fucking interrupted shit. They're coming out randomly at certain times. I thought this shit was good. The only complaint I really have about it is that one of the times when they were throwing bows, man, that shit looked almost Morgan and Crimson awkward and bad. You know, if you're going to have some type of brawl, can you at least make it look like you really are having a major issue? You really do have serious beef, and you're really going to lay into each other? Because when you're sitting there and you're throwing these, I mean, come on, man. Really? I'm all for, you know, protecting your partner in the ring and, you know, not wanting to hurt him too bad. But there is also a point in time where you got to make the shit look realistic if you're expecting us to buy into the fact that you guys have a real issue and you're expecting us to continue to care about this said issue. Come on. You're a little bit better than Morgan and Crimson, aren't you, Roode and Angle? Jiminy Christ. So with Sting and Samoa Joe and Magnus and Angle, 3 out of the 4, not Sting, the other 3, are all part of this 8-man tournament to determine, a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So, and now we're done with Bound for Glory, and Aces and Eights isn't dominating TNA as much anymore. Bully Ray's not the champion anymore. He's not anywhere near the TNA World title. It's not surprising to me to see them kind of split up the Main Event Mafia, and I'm fine with that. You know, it's the first incarnation of Main Event Mafia I was not huge on. I understood the purpose that the second one served to a degree. I like the fact that they included Joe and Magnus in the group. But, you know, it's just one of those deals that when they were starting to maybe have a little bit of steam with that storyline, then Angle goes off on a drunken bender behind the wheel. Oh, yeah. You know, Rampage Jackson's pulled out of the mix. You get what I'm saying. So, you know, it's kind of just odd to me where they just kind of like, oh, we're disbanded and I want to go after the world title, and I want to go after the world title, and I want to go after the world title. But I will say this. At least TNA is incorporating throughout the course of their entire show, and they did it especially this week, that the most important thing in that entire company is by far their World Heavyweight Championship. That I can appreciate. But now here's what I don't fucking understand. You disband the Main Event Mafia, which was a group you threw together that only lasted a couple of months, that really didn't have any negative impact on your product, and yet for some reason as a company, these dumb dicks continue to perpetuate the storyline that revolves around the dumbest and worst faction in professional wrestling history. Does anybody like Aces and Eights? Does anybody think this is a good group? Does anybody think that they should still be any semblance of a group whatsoever? Fuck no. Lagana, whoever the fuck is doing this. Listen here, assholes. Out of all the shit in wrestling that happens one week and then you ignore it and never follow up on it, on all the examples over the course of an 11-year history in TNA as a company where you have something happen and the next week there's no follow-up and you never go back to it. See, Samoa Joe getting kidnapped by the fucking ninjas is one of many examples. You're telling me that you feel the need to continue to perpetuate this fucking story. No, nobody wants to see fucking Mr. Anderson versus Bully Ray. Nobody wants to see Taz and Nux and Garrett on the mic in a goddamn segment. Nobody wants to see these guys, oh, you forgot the first rule, Mr. Anderson, about Stone Cold Steve Austin. Don't trust anybody else. Nobody wants to see that shit anymore. Nobody gives a fuck. This is the perfect example, the perfect opportunity to sit there, and now that it looks like Bischoff is finally out of the fucking way, end it. Stop it. End the madness. Stop the insanity. Stop, what is that? That flushing and sucking sound of your ratings going further and further down the toilet because of this stupid fucking faction. Almost a year and a half. Enough is enough. Drop the goddamn Angle now. Never acknowledge it. Give it the goddamn Benoit treatment. I'm damn serious. It's a very dark chapter in your company's history. It's the ultimate example of how Eric Bischoff was not good for fucking business whatsoever, trying to rip off the Sons of Anarchy without having any clear understanding of all of how the Sons of Anarchy works was completely ridiculous, and the fact that TNA has continued to perpetuate this storyline for so goddamn long absolutely makes me sick to my stomach. It makes my head pound. Drop it! Don't have them on TV for 3 goddamn months, and then when they come back, you never acknowledge it. Give it the fucking heave-ho. The Benoit treatment. We don't need another 3-4 goddamn weeks or any days of anything pertaining to aces and eights anymore. If there's one thing that I could do with TNA right now, it would be completely obliterate aces and eights, completely forget about that angle, just kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. The people have long since killed it, so you stupid fucks, kill the goddamn angle. That's what you should be doing. Nobody wants to see this shit anymore. Nobody. Not the internet fans, not the casual fans. Who the fuck are you appealing to? Yourself? All 30, 40 of you backstage? That's a great business model, you dipshits. Lagana, Dixie, whoever's still behind this deserves to have the smile slapped off their ugly fucking faces. Well, not in Dixie's case, because she's kind of hot. You know, I really appreciated this week how TNA packaged this, where throughout the entire course of the night, everything was building to the main event. It was a main event match. It was a Full Metal Mayhem match. It was between Jeff Hardy and Chris Sabin. They did a phenomenal job of setting the table and slowly, slowly building up throughout the 2 hours of the night or close to it to that blow-off, which was the main event, the opening match in this 8-man tournament to determine the new TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This alone made this week's show for me. This alone gave me even more hope for TNA. What little hope I have, I just got a little bit more because, man, this was presented really, really well. Now, this Full Metal Mayhem match did not go the longest. This Full Metal Mayhem match was good, but definitely not the best I've ever seen. This Full Metal Mayhem match, in my opinion, frankly, had the wrong person win, because I would think with Chris Sabin carrying a title right now, in the X Division title, you could have had him beat Jeff Hardy, then lose to whoever in the next round, and then go on to have a Jeff Hardy-Chris Sabin full-on X Division feud. Imagine how much that raises the profile of your X Division, but you're still having one of your TNA, originals in a figurative sense, one of your more established name brands in TNA, Chris Sabin, going over a WWE star in Jeff Hardy. And TNA can't help itself, of course, having the WWE guy go over the TNA guy, because that's what stupid fucking companies do. And TNA is a stupid fucking company. I don't care if Lagana or whoever, or Dixie was here right now, Jeff Jarrett, I'd say it to their fucking faces. Time after time after time, you have blown opportunities to create new stars. Time after time after time, you have perpetuated your own cycle of mediocrity, and all you're doing is kind of like a funnel. You're just slowly going down, very, very slowly. You're stupid. And having Jeff Hardy beat Chris Sabin, I'm not a Chris Sabin fan, and I'm telling you, I thought personally it was fucking stupid. Enough of the WWE guys going over the TNA guys. Enough of throwing your own stars in TNA. Yeah, that's a creative word. Enough of throwing your own stars under the bus for the sake of guys that really don't need the rub. You should be using the guys that don't need a rub to give a rub to those guys that do need the rub. That sounded very homoerotic, but you get the fucking picture. You get the damn point. Enough of this crap. I was very encouraged by how Bad Influence is being used in multiple places on the show, which I love. I love the fact that they tried to make a real personal angle between Roode and Angle. I love how they sprinkled Austin Aries in and focused on next week's show and continuing on in the World Championship tournament. I love how they built up to the Full Metal Mayhem match throughout the whole show and made it the big feature part of the presentation. Those are good things that good professional wrestling companies do, and it was nice to see TNA do that this week. So even with some of my objections to the show, overall, I was impressed, I was pleased, and they got me a little more excited about their product this week.